Hey, welcome back to the Ping Pong Flix Show. My name is Chris Wong. This is episode 339 of the actual Ping Pong Flix Show. The reason why I'm telling you this is because I'm gonna be start doing a podcast, audio podcast, pretty much this show, but put it on Spotify because I've heard people actually rather listen to it rather than watch it. And I'm also going to break it into parts for people who don't want to watch the whole thing. They're interested in the little topics. I'm just going to upload on YouTube. I'm not going to even market it. So that's what I'm going to do from now on. And if I have time, I'll probably go back to maybe to even Ping Pong Flix Show 1 all the way to now. Throw it on Spotify if you care to listen to that. If not, it's up to you. But that's something I want to do and from here on forth. So Ping Pong Flix Show, in addition to tidbits, in addition to tinfoil, this is the kind of content I'm going to be putting on my channel. And yes, it's going to mainly be DC focused. I am a huge fan of DC, and it's going to keep going on and on. If I can throw in some Monsterverse in here, I will do that as well. But let's start off with the first DCEU topic, and that is The Trench. The Trench is supposed to be a spin-off film that'll focus on those scary-looking, weird-looking monsters in Aquaman. You know, the one that get attacked on Arthur and Mera gets attacked on the boat by these fish-like creatures. They're gonna focus on that, and it's supposed to be like a horror, a smaller horror type film rather than a superhero film. Well, comicbook.com, Brandon Davis had a chance to sit down with James Wan apparently, and so he said this: we're still deep in sort of crafting the script, crafting the story right now, so I don't want to get into that too much, but definitely it's one that I really want to lean into the horror of it. So it's going to play more as a monster horror movie than it will be as a superhero film, but still definitely part of the Aquaman world, Wan said. So basically nothing much more that we already didn't know, that they're really expanding these little universes, and starting with Aquaman, where he's just going to have his own kind of cinematic universe or movies based on the Aquaman world. And that also includes just, the trench, the monsters that are in it. So one thing that's kind of cool about that is that they're doing it kind of like what they're doing with Annabelle. You see the Annabelle movies, it's part of the Conjuring universe. You see the Nun and all this. That's in the Curse La Llorona apparently is also part of the Conjuring universe. So we're seeing that happen in the DCEU because of the New Line Cinema folks that Juan brought over. You know, Walter Hamada brought over with Juan. I believe Toby Emmerich was from New Line Cinema as well. So this is the kind of movies for people who are interested in what Warner Brothers is trying to do, and it's just these focused little universes that are meshed together. So I think Birds of Prey would probably be the Batman Gotham type universe, revolving characters that are around Batman and not Batman himself. Suicide Squad, that kind of thing. So I think these are just little facets of a universe, a bigger universe, but able to tell their own story. So that's what's happening with that. Shazam's another good one. Shazam, Black Adam, another Shazam movie. I think you get the picture. So The Trench, that's going to be part of that. It's going to be a smaller film. Looks like they're not interested in really connecting these different universes together. Maybe, but hopefully we'll get to see more of the actual Justice League characters. And talking about Justice League characters, there was one person who is really championing the Justice League Snyder Cut. Ray Fisher, at a recent Celebrity Fan Fest in San Antonio, Texas, someone mentioned if he had the keys to the kingdom, that would he want to release a Snyder Cut? And he said, if I had the power, absolutely. He also reflected about his story about Cyborg, and he says that he is not done. He specifically said it's not over yet, it's not done yet. He says this: I think there's still some repairing that has to take place between Cyborg and his father in that relationship. I think there's a lot of ground to explore how much technology is too much technology for humanity and how fast technology is evolving, and the role that Cyborg could play in potentially mitigating the issues that would come about because of that. You're dealing with a character who can, with a thought, launch all the nuclear devices on the planet, which is interesting because you actually kind of would see that in the Snyder Cut. He also mentions that in Justice League, I think we see Cyborg fighting against the machine, and I would like to see what it would be like if he becomes so comfortable with himself that he actually gives in too much to the machine side, and it ends up being too much so. There's really no end to the kinds of stories you could tell about a story like this, especially as technology is evolving. So when you read that, it's obviously he's referring to some of the cut scenes in the Snyder Cut where you see the nuclear missiles, him fighting with technology, and his, being in the Unity with the shots we've seen so far. But what's also interesting is that he's not giving away that the father died in the Snyder Cut. It's almost like he's accepting, in a way, not in a bad way, but accepting in a way, yeah, okay, if we never see the Snyder Cut, that the father is indeed still alive. And if that's the case, then the movies going on will be continuation from the current Justice League, the theatrical version, and that there will be more stories that he could tell with Silas and Victor revolving around them. So that's interesting that he said that, but at the same time hinting to a Snyder Cut, and which why I like to say that means that he's aware that this universe could still happen with that being canon, but at the same time showing that Snyder Cut is an alternate version. That's something that could be very much come out. But the most important thing is that he himself said it's not over yet. It's not done yet. And that gives a lot of us fans of the original Justice League characters a lot of hope. We first only thought maybe Jason Momoa and Gal Gadot would be on, keep going. There is no, it's possible that Ben Affleck could come back, maybe if they have a story for him, but right now they don't. They're not intending to bring back older Batman. They're not intending to continue his story, as we see in the Robert Pattinson being Batman and Man Reeves trilogy, where Henry Cavill is still kind of up in the air. There is no, no movie for him to sign on to, or they're trying to make a Superman work. According to Danny Garcia, he is still pretty much Superman. He's just, his cape is up in the closet for now, which makes it even more a point that there is no movie yet for another Superman movie. But, the other person that is actually also up in the air is Ezra Miller, who played the Flash, Barry Allen, in Justice League. Now, we talked about before that there was something involved with the original directors and their script versus Ezra Miller, who hired Grant Gustin to write another script, something that he wants to do, rather than John Francis Daley and the Goldstein script was more light script, and this one was gonna build heavily into like Speed Force and time travel. It's gonna have some great emotional moments, what he believes, and it was up in the air what the studio would choose, because they apparently really want Ezra Miller to be the Flash. Variety put this out, and very interesting thing that they put out is that they even tweeted this out. It says, Variety's inaugural Power of Pride list honors Ezra Miller, who's getting his DC Universe standalone film as soon as he wraps up his work on the Harry Potter spin-off series, Fantastic Beasts. And you click on that, and you see Ezra Miller, and it says, Ezra Miller, moving fast. Miller, who plays the ultra-swift superhero The Flash, will get his DC Universe standalone film as soon as he wraps up his work on the Harry Potter spin-off series, Fantastic Beasts. The queer and gender-fluid star is somehow even more in demand on the red carpet than in studio casting sessions, with his avant-garde looks earning praise and astonishment from fans. Now, that first part there, where they are saying, this is Variety, and literally when people say, you gotta listen to the trades, well, this is definitely the trades. Miller, who plays Ultra Swift superhero The Flash, will get his DC Universe standalone as soon as he wraps up his work on the Harry Potter spin-off series, Fantastic Beasts. Fantastic Beasts has been delayed till, next year? I think they're going to start filming next year, so it's safe to say maybe the year after he could start working The Flash. But the main thing is that, are they actually confirming that the studio has either, one, chosen Ezra Miller as Grant Gustin's Flash in order that Ezra Miller to support that and actually step up and say, okay, since you accepted that script, I am going to continue upon contract that was supposed to have been ending like last month or end of this month. I think last month, that he is going to continue. He signed on to play the Flash. Or two, he gave in and that he's going to go ahead and be the Flash regardless of whatever script that John Francis Laley and Jared Goldstein had said, and that's that. Of course, these directors have not said a word, like a word about the Flash, so we even know it's happening. Warner Brothers keeping this close to their chest. The other theory and the other conversation had about this is Variety's like opinion piece, right? This is something that's not part of the trades. This is a different department within Variety where the last information they know is that he's going to be in the Flash. Now, I wasn't sure if the last information of Flash was that it was going to be after the Fantastic Beasts. I believe it was. But this is, it could just be one of those situations like the other Variety little opinion article where they said Ben Affleck's going to be in the next Justice League 2 and stuff like that. That little piece. So it might be something like that where it's not actually going to happen. And that's just the information that they had or they looked up on IMDb. And it's not actually reported from the trades, right? Nothing from, Justin Kroll from Variety, something like that. So that could be that. But it does gives us a little hope that it's possible that both Ray Fisher and Ezra Miller's role as Cyborg and Flash is not over. That there's still a possibility, and to keep an open mind and be positive that there is still a possibility these two will reprise their roles as both Cyborg and the Scarlet Speedster, the Flash. So I'm very optimistic about that. But you never know. Maybe tomorrow, by the time you hear this, is like, no, they're gone, or they're back. So we'll keep an eye out on that. Now I want to get into one little thing for the Snyder Cut. Zack Snyder there was in the Justice League trailer. Let's go back to that Justice League trailer where we hear no Kryptonians, no lanterns. I even did a video about this. Maybe that's Darkseid's voice, or is it Steppenwolf's voice? When you hear it, it really does sound like Ciarán Hinds. It does. He has that accent in there, and it's really it kind of drives. It's hard because you don't see that in the movie itself. They cut it out. A gentleman by the name of Jabin Matthew, I think I butchered that name, but he DM'd Zack Snyder. And he asked, "Sir, in Justice League trailer, we can hear two tones of sound while saying no protectors here, and the other sound is a little tough than the first for no lanterns, no Kryptonians, this world will fall like all the others. Does these lines, are these lines spoken by Darkseid himself?" And then Zack Snyder replied, "It's Steppenwolf reporting to Desaad." And this was actually back in April 30th of 2019. So, which John Aaron had verified this was actually an accurate post. That this is actually not a fake and an accurate. And then there was a lot of conversation these few days about that, right? And so Ray Porter finally came out. Despite liking all the comments and posts about him being the one who says that, he says this: "When I wrote no effects, no reverb, etc., I was making a joke about my recording. I was not hinting that I said a line. I really don't know who that voice is. Maybe Ciarán maybe someone else. Don't want to mislead anyone. I'm not dropping hints, okay? And so there you have it. So it's a very apparent that it's definitely it could, very much, it's not, you can tell it's not Darkseid. It's not, well, at least it's not Ray Porter. It's not Darkseid. And for the most part, we believe it's Sarah and Hines. And Zack Snyder says it's Steppenwolf talking to Desaad. Maybe in the word, maybe no Kryptonians actually came from Desaad, which actually is kind of interesting if you think about that, because that means, did they cast Desaad? And I can't tell. I got to go back and look in the credits, but I believe Desaad is not even cast in the IMDb. And if that's the case, then we've got another person who's out there who is definitely Desaad. Desaad's in the movie. We can probably see some concept art of Desaad in the book, and one of those witch looking weird robed creatures in the history lesson where they all have the mother boxes. So one of those is Desaad, which is cool, because that means there is a lot more to that. There was a lot more, maybe probably before the history lesson or even after. There was more conversations within the enemy camp, if you will, aside from the heroes. Maybe even actually evolving that story, actually making it bigger than he really is. Possibly even hinting at that whole relationship between Steppenwolf and Darkseid, in which he kind of, Ciarán Hinds alluded to being him saying he's the uncle and stuff like that. And so it's all that was lost in the movie and in the theatrical cut. So I'm saying that Snyder Cut could potentially have more. And liking this part in the fact that we finally just kind of put that to rest, that Steppenwolf was talking to Desaad, I think that actually lets us move on to the next thing we have to figure out. As this everything, and I mean it. I mean everything that Zack Snyder puts out. Every information he released completely boggles my mind. How much it just keeps blowing us away. Like our minds are blown every time he releases something. It's like we think it's something and it's something else. And this movie, I'm completely like I'm so infatuated, and I really want to see this thing, because this thing, it's a completely different movie. It has so much information here, so much homage, and so much things and aspects about it, that they really simplify this thing into a 2-hour basic cartoony Justice League movie. And so I'm just saying, when I post these things, because I want to show you how interesting it is, how interesting it could be for detractors, mainly for people who are like, it's just going to be the same. I want to say, no, I think it's going to be a lot different. I think there's going to be so much in this that a lot of people can gather from DC fans to action fans to drama fans to all these type of people, and there's something to be loved in here. There's something to be interested in enough that piques your curiosity. I mean, wouldn't you want to see Darkseid? Wouldn't you want to see Flash go back into time for a bit? Wouldn't you want to see all these different aspects? There's probably a huge final battle involving Superman that we have not even scratched the surface of. This could be something that the final battle was completely butchered. There's something there. It's completely hidden, and I don't know if that means it's not finished, and that's where most of the money needs to be done on that part, or that it's so incredible and hidden that Zack Snyder doesn't want to even reveal that until the movie actually comes out. So that really piques my interest. That there's little things like the whole Green Lantern thing. whether that's Coast City or that's ship or whatever. Just the mere fact that he mentions Green Lantern so secretly without saying much means that he's hinting that there's more stuff in here, that it's so intriguing that it's gotta pique the Snyder fans and DC fans and the audience if they know about it, and just really pique their interest that this is something that they like to see. They just want to see it, and I want to see it. And I think that speaks great volumes that this movie could be very successful with release. And I want to maybe get into just a little thing, since this is going to be a podcast more than news things. But I know people going back and forth about how we can show Warner Brothers that we want this thing, and there's just two things in a way. That's money, three things: money, interest, and ego of the studio. I believe the money thing can be, that can be accomplished depending on how much interest the studio thinks that this thing is getting, and the ego thing is something altogether. I think the first two can be solved right away. I think maybe even already solved. Ego is the one that has to be trumped. I think ego gets in the way of seeing money, gets in the way of business, and I think that part is actually affecting this not being able to release the Snyder Cut the most. At least what we're not hearing it officially anyway and publicly announced, but from within the community, I guess, that the ego, I think, is the biggest hurdle that they'll have to face, because generating interest or knowing how much interest, getting analytics and things like that, in order to see how much money this will make, I think all of that is manini, because that means movies can't get released unless they get some type of interest, right? And that's not true, because movies are made every day. Movies are made every month, without a lick of knowing if this will interest people at all. They get a script, the execs look at it, I like it, what do you think? Let's green light it, let's make it, what's the budget? They know all that ahead of time. They don't go out and do Twitter feeds and asking people, hey, do you want to see a movie about, I don't know, a shark in a tornado? Do you think, they have these algorithms, they have this general interest that they can release a film or make a film or finish a film because they have that data already. I don't think we need to actually, this is my own opinion, okay, just letting you know, my own opinion, that I don't think they need to know if this movie, a movie will be successful, because they do it all the time. They make movies to make money without even a clue if it's going to be successful. They have a gauge. They're like, well, there's a Marvel characters in it. It's probably going to make money, right? They made Iron Man without wondering if it's going to make money. They thought, well, it's not, but it made money. It was successful. They made 4 films later, without even going on, trying to find analytics and things like that. So if you look at it that way, with the amount of social media interest in the Snyder Cut, a studio would have to see that and say, yeah, there is interest in that little social media, I say little in regards to billions of people, that much has to equate to this much amount. But I don't think they're even looking at that. Just knowing that there is an interest is better than not knowing there wasn't any interest at all before they even greenlit any other film in the history of movies. Okay, they don't do that. They once they believe they got a good script, they got a green light and everything, they put it out, and they put out director's cuts. They put it out all the time without a lick of interest. But once they got this, Snyder Cut has a big interest. It'd be stupid for Warner Brothers not to do this. The only reason I believe they're not doing it is because of one man, and that man is Toby Emmerich and his ego. That is the only hurdle in the way of this releasing. And to even prove that point, I told many people before, I talked to Zack Snyder at the Snyder Con, and he pretty much said it's up to Warner Brothers to release it. It's just up to Warner Brothers to release it. Keep the pressure. He even said there are not many original decision makers left. So that tells me, one, it's not about the money. Two, it's not about the interest. Three, it's all about that ego. It's all about the last original decision maker of Justice League. His name is Toby Emmerich. Once that's out of the way, we're going to have our Snyder Cut. So that's what my opinion and my thoughts are. I don't care if you believe that, or I don't care if you think that's true or not. That's just me, and that's what I believe, and that's what I continue to believe. And hopefully, our pressure will keep the pressure up. And I'm not trying to give false hopes or anything like that, because I just want to make sure that we continue to fight for it. I think, but I mean, it's always keep an open mind. Stay positive, keep an open mind. The trades are sometimes wrong, and they're sometimes right. We won't know until the actual official word, which is Warner Brothers. So let's keep an open mind. Let's keep fighting. Hashtag release the Snyder Cut. Keep supporting Project Comic-Con, because they're doing incredible wonders by showing more public and getting more public interest in it. Having the public outside our bubble demand it as well is a good thing. Having detractors get inspired by our movement is another great thing. And all these lead up hopefully to a big pressure to someone up there at Warner Bros. To say, hey, Toby Emmerich, get rid of your ego. We're about to make some moolah with this thing. Or two, Toby Emmerich, get the hell out of this studio. We need somebody else who is really who really has love for auteur filmmaking and can also make giant blockbusters as well. All right, guys. Well, that is it for tonight. Thank you so much for subscribing. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.